And then we went on a run. And the last game of the season against the New York Giants up here in New York, I tore my shoulder up. And it was a pretty significant injury.
You partner with Bounty to help tackling a mess while eating wings. So what made you want to partner with Bounty?
Well, it's a great brand. And, you know, there's nothing like being associated with great brands like the Bounty or the Dallas Cowboys, et cetera, et cetera. And so for me, it was a natural fit because, you know, I've been tackling mess all my whole entire life, trying to avoid tacklers, trying to tackle me, trying to make things happen. And so when you have a sporting event and you have a big weekend coming up like we do this weekend coming up, obviously you're going to have great food around it. You're going to have people ordering wings, people ordering dips and everything else. And that right there is a recipe for a big mess for somebody. And so if you're going to have a mess and you're going to have wings, you can't have wings without football, and you can't have wings without Bounty. So why not have Bounty at the table to clean up some of the mess that somebody's going to make in your house?
Absolutely. And, you know, obviously Bounty is going to be used a lot this weekend with the playoffs starting. Also going to be used even more when the Super Bowl takes place next month. So when it comes to the Super Bowl, how will you be spending it during Super Bowl weekend?
I'm going to be in Arizona. I'm going to be in Arizona for most of the week. I'm going out. I'm playing in the Waste Management Phoenix Open that Wednesday in the Pro-Am. And then I'm going to roll right into Super Bowl weekend on Thursday and Friday out at the media center, doing my rounds, bringing my tequila and everything else, and be talking Bounty. I'm going to be doing it all that week and enjoying myself like a fan should enjoy themselves doing that. So there's a lot of activities going on, and you can bet your bottom dollar Emmitt Smith is going to be involved as well. So.
Absolutely. And you know the Super Bowl very well. You've won 3 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys. So what would you say would be your favorite or 2 favorite Super Bowl memories?
2 favorite Super Bowl memories. I would say walking onto the field in my very first Super Bowl and standing in the end zone as I come through the tunnel with Michael Irvin and standing there and looking around and soaking that in, because we played in the Rose Bowl in our very first Super Bowl. But 6 years prior to that, I found myself sitting in the stands in the Rose Bowl watching the New York Giants play against the Denver Broncos. And I told my best friend, one of these days I want to play in the Super Bowl. And I want to play in the stadium. 6 years later, 92, 93 year, I'm standing on the field, and my best friend is sitting up in the stands watching me play my very first Super Bowl in the Rose Bowl. And it was the last time a Super Bowl was played in that stadium.
Right.
I'm blessed to have lived out my dream, blessed to have lived out the opportunity to have my family, my best friend and his mom and his dad, and they're there. They were all there. And most importantly, I'm blessed that we won it and won that game. That's number 1. Number 2, becoming MVP in Super Bowl 28 against the Bills. It was a magical season. And it took a lot to get there. We started the season off 0-2. I missed the first 2 games of the season because of contract negotiations with Mr. Jones.
Right.
And then we went on a run. And the last game of the season against the New York Giants up here in New York, I tore my shoulder up. And it was a pretty significant injury. But made it through the playoff, got to the Super Bowl, and I ended up winning MVP of the Super Bowl that year, also MVP of the National Football League that year too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely remember that. And the Cowboys have a chance to win another Super Bowl this year. They take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to start the playoffs. So what do the Cowboys need to do this year in order to make a run at the Super Bowl?
First thing they need to do is get their minds right and understand that this game called football does not last long, and everybody has a short window. So when you have talent around you like the Dallas Cowboys actually have, the nucleus on defense, what they have on offense, you have to take advantage of these moments. Oftentimes, we as humans think that we're going to be together for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. In this game of football, which the NFL stands for not for long, you're not guaranteed to have the same kind of genetic makeup or structure or team. Every year you have to retool that and refine that chemistry. And so therefore you must take advantage of the moment by being mentally sharp, executing against your game plan, be in the moment at all times, and do not take it for granted. And most importantly, eliminate the daggone mistakes, because they become very costly. The reason we won our 3 Super Bowls is because the opposing team that we played turned the ball over a lot more than we did.
Mm-hmm.
And we took full advantage of those turnovers. And therefore, they lost, but we ended up winning. And so for the Cowboys, take that, put that on your wall, allow that to be your goal for the next 4 weeks, is to eliminate mistakes, stay focused, be in the moment, and be committed until you get there.
Absolutely. You mentioned what they have on offense. And one of the biggest things that I noticed with them this year is what they did with the running game with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. Combined, they both they had about close to 1,900 yards and 21 touchdowns. So how impressed were you to see how the Cowboys utilized both running backs?
I think that's the best answer. I think that's the best answer, and that is the answer for our issues. That's the answer for protecting the football and not turning the ball in the air. That's the answer for controlling the clock and putting the pressure on the opposing offense. That's the pressure of keeping your defense fresh and keeping the rotation fresh of that defensive line so they can get the pressure on the quarterback like they need to. To me, that is the answer. That's the way you win championships. You have to be physical up front, and dropping back and passing is not physicality. Your offensive line is getting beat up. Allow them to beat others up.
Absolutely. Well, looking forward to what the Cowboys do and what the other NFL teams do in the Super Bowl. Well, Emmitt, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Have fun at the Super Bowl and continue success to you.